When Hahnemann was practicing in his earlier years, and particularly in Cöthen, when, fortunately, he had escaped from Leipzig and he was no longer confronted with all the horrible politics that was ravaging homeopathy and causing divisions amongst homeopaths themselves. And he had this quiet time to reflect on his homeopathic practice. He recognized this fact that so often you treat cases, they're all chronic cases, but you treat cases, and sometimes it's in families, and you're dealing with acute conditions in the family, and all the children's illnesses, and all the itises that can occur, only to find that your acute remedies and your acute prescribing is doing wonderful work, extremely good work, but it's coming back again. It was tonsillitis last year, and it's tonsillitis again this year. Or it's a bronchiolitis that keeps on repeating. Each one magnificently solved with the ipecacuanha here, the antimony tart there, the myositis, whatever remedy one's using. And yet, it keeps coming back. And then he noticed in his chronic cases something similar happening. That very often a remedy that he was utilizing and was getting good results from ground to a halt. Didn't make any more progress. Something was wrong. Or he would find that a remedy which was giving great results petered out in this manner, and then a different symptomatic picture emerged from the patient, presented itself. He got the impression here that there was some underlying dyscrasia that was not eradicated by the homeopathic treatment, even when selected on the best possible indications. Good, well-acting remedies. Remedies, in fact, that initiated initial response, petering out. Change of potency, petering out. Change of potency again petering out. Haven't we all experienced this? We must have done. If you haven't, then you're not alert, or you're not into chronic prescribing. But this is definitely happening. Colleagues, Staff and Gross particularly, speaking to him, we need more remedies. This must be due to the fact that we just haven't got enough remedies. The master knew otherwise. No, we've got enough remedies. We certainly need more remedies, but it is not because we need more remedies that we have this phenomenon facing us. There is something going on, something that we're not recognizing. There is an ongoing pollution or contamination which is present. And this is, of course, the miasm. And it was then that he went into patients' histories and their family histories. And here he saw a thread running. What we can call a continuity, a continuum of disease through generations, and which was not being eradicated by even excellent therapy. And he realized this something must be understood. He called it Sora. Now, and he called it a miasm. Let's look at the miasm first. What was miasm to the language of that particular period, 1700s, 1800s? It was a noxious vapor, some pervasive noxious vapor. That was the idea. As we would speak of the malaria miasm, which is not a miasm. It is not a miasm. It is a state of degree of illness. So we're dealing with something noxious. And then he came to Sora. Now Sora, Sorat, it comes from the Hebrew, which means a groove or a fault or a stigma or a blemish. Linking that to the idea of a miasm, we have a stigma or a blight or a blemish, which is pervasive, which is destructive, which is throughout the Constitution, which is mixed up with the Constitution at a very deep level indeed, and leads to chronic abnormalities based upon a peculiar sensitivity or vulnerability or susceptibility to certain patterns of disease. And it's those patterns that he wanted to investigate and recognize. And the first one that he found was Sora. He identified this initially as an external itch. Now, his thinking went like this, that there is a continuum of disease. In other words, a person is born already with a deficit, with a deficiency, with a vulnerability or a susceptibility. In youth, speaking now of a generally healthy person, the vital force, that dynamis, which maintains all aspects of the constitution in balance, in harmonious balance, so that the indwelling spirit can express its full potential. Again, I'm paraphrasing him, but that is what he evaluated the vital force as being. It is a homeostatic force. It is a regulatory force. It is a self-governing force. It is autonomous. It possesses intelligence. It is an instinctively perceiving regulatory dynamis. That is how he defined it. Instinctively perceiving. It has consciousness.